Hey everybody, this week we are interviewing a good friend of mine, Joey Adcock. He's a cow buyer, he's a cattleman, just an all-around good guy. This podcast, Courtney, was slap full of funny stories, good times, educational. He taught us a lot about the cattle business and the stockyards. I really think people are going to enjoy this podcast this week.
Absolutely. I can't wait for them to hear.
You bet. Joey Adcock, everybody. Agriculture.
Western lifestyle.
Entrepreneurship.
Farm and ranch.
Stewardship.
Heritage.
All of these are the cornerstones of a way of life that has been built for generations.
The stories and the people are what keeps the traditions alive.
Welcome to the place where it all comes together.
The Grassroots and Grounded Podcast.
Hey guys, we just want to take a second and thank one of our corporate sponsors, Iris Inc Realty, Crawford, Georgia. You know, some leaders in the real estate industry in Oglethorpe County and Northeast Georgia.
Absolutely. They've been salt of the earth. They've opened up their office to us with open arms, and they've been so kind and generous to let us record here.
Absolutely. Every episode of the Grassroots and Grounded podcast is brought to you right here from the Iris Inc Studio in downtown Crawford, Georgia. If you ever get an opportunity to stop right here in Crawford, come in the office, check it out, meet the guys and gals down here, Jessica Arnold, Blake Arnold, just the whole crew.
And it's such a great group of people and real estate agents. They're just wonderful folks.
They have, you know, the interest of their clients always at heart. You know, those people are not worried about the money. If you ever have a question about real estate or anything in that part of the world, make sure you reach out to Iris Inc Realty. All right, everybody, welcome to the Grassroots and Grounded podcast. We're excited today to have my really good friend. He's probably one of my oldest true buddies. I've known Joey he's known me since I was a little bitty kid. We got Joey Adcock today. He's a cow buyer, cow trader, cattleman, a father. He's got 3 kids, Kaylee and Dylan, and what's the other one's name? I can't ever. Gavin Adcock's dad. He long before he was Gavin Adcock's dad, he's just Joey.
And I still am.
He's still just Joey.
Still just Joey.
And so we're excited to have Joey on today. Talk a little bit about life, a little bit about cattle, and just how
excited to be here. So
yeah, man,
I've never done a podcast before, so bear with me.
We haven't done that many, so we're not much more experienced than you are. We're figuring it all out.
Conversation, that's right.
But we start off, Joey. What we start off with, everybody, is we want you to kind of give us. We let everybody give us the rundown how you grew up. Tell us, like what 5-year-old Joey's life was like. How did we get to where we are today? And Joey Adcock.
Well, I guess from the time I was younger, I was around cattle. My daddy, he had trucks, cattle. They bought for people that kill cattle. Just, and, I guess it was one of them things that I was consumed with my life, my whole life. And it's still, if you don't love what you do, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
There's times it gets harder and harder, and you think, well, this is not a good day. But then it's funny because Kaylee's boyfriend, he's a good guy. I love him to death, and he always asks me every day. He said, "Mr. Joy, how'd you do today?" I said, "Not worth a damn." And he said, he told me this a couple years ago. He said, you had a bad day today, but he said that makes the good days so much better, and it does. And I don't care if you're a truck driver or you own your own whatever business you own. There's good days and bad days. You got to just keep moving. And
well, that's what my daddy's always said about you is he's like, I've had Joey buy me some cows before, but you can't beat a man at his own trade. He said, because he's done it all his life. He knows what a good cow, he knows what to look for.
You get some good ones and some bad ones, and that's,
Yeah.
You think you get one, you think, I really like this one. And I've tried not to say that anymore, because the next thing you know, you're either doctoring it or something's wrong with it. But when you buy high risk cattle, you're gonna bury some of them,
right.
and But then again, you go out there and you buy some and you think nobody wanted them but you. And you get out there 2 months from now and you're like, man, they sure are fat and pretty, you know. And I don't know, I've got a soft spot in my heart because something, and I buy a lot more junk than most people do. But I'm like, this old cow is 110 years old. I hate to see her go to kill the way and shape she's in. If she's fat and pretty, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, that, therefore, I like, you know, people, they'll say, you put them, you know, my wife don't anymore, but she's like, you put all them out there in the front yard so people can see them. I'm like, honey, you know, it's what we do, you know.
That's the one thing I would probably say about you, Joey, that, and I don't know if I know many other people that have the same mentality as you do about it, but I you know, a lot of people could make the, you know, perception that people that do what you do or what we do in the cattle, that you don't care about, or it's just, they're just making meat, they're going to kill and you don't care. I can't tell you how many times Joey has bought something because he liked them, and he'll tell you how much he liked. I mean, it's like he's talking about one of his kids, you know, talking about this old zooter cow that he, you know, especially the Brahmas and the stuff. And Joey, I don't think people see that side of the agriculture business, especially people that go buy their, you know, beef in stores where animals aren't hurt in the process. You know what I mean? Yeah. They don't see that side of it, that people that do what you do or do what cattle raise and stuff and all that, they don't see that you care for them. Yeah,
you know, we tend to them, and I got two people that help me, and the old one's been with me since 2007. Danny, his son, hauls for me now. He helps Daniel a little bit, and whenever I call him, he heads to the sale barn to pick up cattle. And, you know, Danny's dad, Daniel, that's been with me, the Mexican guy, when he first come there, he didn't really, he know cattle because they had cattle in Mexico. But the stuff that we bought and stuff like that, he was amazed at, like, what kind of turnaround, you know, that it would do. And now, you know, he's got his own cattle. He keeps about 100. I buy them for him, and he does the same thing. And when I get where I've got all my spots filled up, I buy him some of the same thing. And I mean, you know.
Well, we were talking about it the other day. You know, Daniel, it's impressive to watch him work cattle.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knows what he's doing. And I told, we built some fence for you one time, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. And we were sitting out there eating lunch one day, and y'all had them ones that are around your house right there that are kind of the first, you know, the incomers, you know, they get doctored and stuff. And he roped one off of a four-wheeler, which is by himself, which is hard to do because the throttle's on the right side where you would hold your rope.
He's right-handed.
And he's right-handed. And he ropes it, and look, never got in a hurry, never got in a bind. There wasn't no chase. If I'd have done it, we'd have run him through 4 fences before we got him caught. And he got him caught and just eased around him and pulled him down, give him a shot, got the rope off of him, and got him up, and off he went. And it was like, hey, you know, every day. You know, and
it's amazing to watch him do. He cowboy.
Yeah.
He's gringo cowboy. He's so good at what he does. And I don't know if he's had to do it so much that, like, you know, because people don't realize, like, on a regular farm, it's not like our farm. You know, I'm sure, you know, they have some get sick
4 or 5 times a year, maybe.
You know, we have some 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
You know, something, you know, and he's like, he's just so, he's not in a hurry. He's so calm. He don't say a whole lot. Like, me and him worked together yesterday. We cut up, Danny had the gout. So Daniel's got the gout, Danny's got the gout. They going to the doctor here and there. So me and him worked there yesterday. We cut up and carried on, you know, and like he has his moods. He has his moods where.
What is it you call him a moody woman sometimes?
Yeah, he's like a woman. He gets mad at me. He'll get mad at me, and then me and his son will be laughing at him, and then he'll really get mad at us, and he'll sit there and he'll sull up. We'll be working cattle, and I said, Danny, just tell your daddy to go mix some feed and go put out some feed. And he'll just throw his stuff down, walk out the gate. He'll start mixing some feed. He'll be gone.
Come back a little while.
And he's fine when he comes
knows
back.
how to handle it.
And a lot of times when he really gets angry, it's somewhere between 11:30 and 12. But most of the time, by 12 o'clock, I mean, we have a barn full of cattle. We'd been working since 7:30 or 8 o'clock that morning. And he'll say, it's lunchtime, I'm hungry. He'd go over there and start washing his hands. So, years ago, I was like, huh?
We gotta get done.
We're not stopping for lunch. Oh, now we stop for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Feed the man.
And
He gets hangry.
He gets angry. He is. He's really, I always thought that was crap.
Yeah.
Because we work. And if I get hungry or something, we run to the store and get a bag of crackers and come back. No, he's got to go eat. When he comes back, a lot of times he likes going to Zaxby's.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, come on, we'll go eat Zaxby's. And I'm not a big fan of Zaxby's. I do it because I love him. Because he's so happy when we get back. And Danny said, you know how to play daddy, don't you? I said, yeah, because I said he's in a good mood.
Something about the Zaxby sauce just puts him in.
No, he don't eat no sauce.
Oh, really?
Oh, no mayonnaise. No ranch. He eats ketchup. He eats ketchup and chicken tenders and bread and extra fries. And makes him happy. So, but once he gets something in his belly, I mean, he's that way, and a lot of people are that way. I'm not. I can eat here, there, whenever. Don't hardly ever get mad when I'm hungry, But as far as
you just get mad for other reasons.
Oh yeah, I get mad at the sales sometimes.
It happens.
Maybe a lot of times.
Listen, me and my wife have this rule at our house. She teaches all these breakaway roping lessons and stuff. So we're always up there doing something with the cattle and the calves and stuff, whatever. And we got a rule at our house we had to establish when we were dating. Anything I say while we're working cattle, you can't hold against me after we get done working cattle. It's got to go away. It's the
funny,
rule.
It's funny you say that because when I first married Christy, she would help me. Now? No,
she ain't coming up there.
She ain't going to touch it.
She don't, I built her a garden. I built her a panel garden right out there behind the house. And when we keep a few of the bigger steers at the house that don't ever go nowhere, something that weighs, 800 or 850, I keep them there for, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then when they're straight, I put them on load, this, that, and the other if I need them. And I keep them up there next to the road. And when they get ready, I put them behind the house. And had 2 or 3 crazy ones. And they was out there in the garden. And they got to go straight by the garden and the gates by the garden. And I come out there on the 4-wheeler and opened the gate. And they was in the garden. I said, y'all be still. Because you remember the last year when I did this, one of them was crazy. He jumped back in where he come from, tore the fence up. And it just irked my wife. She's like, I'm sitting here tilling this garden. I said, look, it won't take 2 minutes. And come back down through there. And they got over there. And Kaylee stood up. And I said, don't stand up. And 1 or 2 of them, they go to looking then. But they went on through there. And I said, see, this was a lot easier. And but she used to help me a lot. And I'd get, how animals make you mad.
Oh, yeah.
And
you'll understand why we eat those things when you work with them long enough.
That's right. But she's great. She raised my kids.
Oh, yeah.
I went to sale barns. She did 99.9% of raising our kids, getting them places. I went to a lot of sporting events when I could and stuff like that. But she was the glue that kept our family together,
People don't understand that have 8 to 5. They don't understand that what we do in the farm. That there is no clock in, clock out. It might be 1 in the morning. Especially like these sales. We used to get big sales, run the sales. You might not be home till 2, 3. There's been times you've been home at daylight. I'm sure.
Yeah. It's not that way anymore.
No, there's not as many cattle around.
No, it's sad too. I miss that. I say I miss that. I'm older now. Where I'm, if I get home at 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'm pretty wore out. But it's because we've got used to that. Used to when we get home at 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning, we was used to that. That was a normal thing. Everybody had cattle. When you went down the road and turned, the man on the right had some, the man on the left had some, and then you went to the end of that road. If it was 5 miles long, there was 4 people on one side, 3 people on the other that had some cows. Now, when the older people died out, the kids, they sold the land, they built subdivisions. Progress is, the cattle got gone because of progress. And the farmer for the last 5-6 years, he hadn't made a whole lot of money on his calves. It's great that they're high now. People need to get back in it. But somebody was asking me the other day, he said, I don't really see a whole lot of people getting in this business. And it's sad because a young man, 21 years old, how's he going if he wanted 100 mama cows,
He can't afford it.
can't afford it.
Or the land to put them on.
Now, the land to put them on. Unless he inherited it, he's not doing it.
Right. Well, I sold some chicken houses recently in Morgan County, and that was kind of, I'm like, I don't know if somebody gave me these, I'd want them. But at the same time.
A dairy or a chicken farm
Be
is
tough.
2 things that I have never wanted.
Tough. Right.
I went and worked one summer with my Uncle Ed when he broke his leg. And I went and worked with him, stayed over there for about a month. I wasn't old enough to drive. I don't know, 13, 14 years old. I stayed over and helped them milk for like a month. And let me tell you something, buddy.
That's work.
If you ever hear about Jake Willcox going back into something to do with the dairy business, send me $100 because I am broke as they can possibly freaking get.
But I think though, if you come from a kid that wants to farm that doesn't have the opportunity, and there's funding out there for things like that, and you're willing to put the work in, that's an opportunity to own something too. So there's 2 sides of it, I think.
The only bad thing about the funding and getting a loan for something like that is,
right.
It's like the people that in 2000, when they got so high, I say so high, not near as high as they are now, 2012 or 13, all them people borrowed that money, and then they got cheap again. And a lot of them cows never paid.
Came back.
Didn't raise enough cash.
Right.
$4,000, $4,000, $4,200 back then, 60-something hundred now for a pair. It's
hard to pencil that in.
It is. It really is. If things stay good now, and you sell. It's still buy a pair for $6,000. It's going to take 3 calves to pay for it. If unless you grow them to weigh, 800, 850. If you grow your calves, and then they bring that $3,000. Most people don't do that. Not,
A lot of people sell 4 and 5 weights all right off the cow.
Yeah, 250 to 500 is, and a lot of people sell them 250 to 500. And a lot of smaller ones, 350s. You see a lot of that. Seen a few bigger calves lately. The people that do it, that grow the big calves. And I understand you sell them when some people need some money, and I understand selling them. And I don't like selling a little calf. I'm not a cow-calf farmer.
I was going to say, explain a little bit for people who don't know. Explain a little bit what you do versus what. Because I think there's a lot of people that think just the only way to be in the cow business is to have cows and get calves and sell whatever. And then there's a lot of people that do that they don't actually understand what's the next step. They come down there and they say, man, that Joey buys a lot of cows. Does he have that much land to turn them all out on? So, explain a little bit being like a cow buyer, order buyer, and then like what you do as far as actually owning some.
Well, you got there's 3 or 4 steps to the calf from the time he gets to the finished product of a 1,400 pound steer or heifer. You got a backgrounder, we background some cat yearlings.
When you say background, what is that?
That's just where we just get them straightened out, give them all the shots, get them weaned. Right. We sell ours weighing 850 to 950.
Okay.
They try to get a homogenized set of them.
Right.
They try to get a set of them that make a truckload that are all similar weight because they feed better when they're the same size, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
More uniformed, yeah.
And then you got some people that buy them they'll buy them weighing 450, and then they'll go all the way with them. They'll be the final man. They'll keep them till they finish. And then a lot of times if they sell them weighing from 550 to 700, they'll be swapped a couple more times. Somebody will resell them. They'll buy them, turn them out again, reset, put them on grass, resell them again. It's a big, I mean, you know, I work for Bob Chandler, and Bob Chandler's one of the greatest cow people. I mean, he's one of the smartest people. Smart person, work hard. I'm 55, he's 61, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. You couldn't tell it the way he works. He's a hustler. And he buys the skinny calves, fattens them up. He sells them when they weigh about 850, somewhere in that neighborhood. Got people like him that do a lot. You know, I buy a lot for Bob every week. You know, 273 this week, I think, which is, you know, on today's market, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I mean, you know, I think I have bought him 400 in 1 week before, out of all the years that I bought him, 400 something, maybe was the most I've ever bought him for him. But, you know, and so when we moved, Bob and your dad, they built my pens and my traps at my house. And I started working for Bob like in 1990. I think it was like 1996 or 7. And I had mostly cows then. I'd buy cows, fatten them up. Some of them have calves, and then we'd sell them somewhere here, there, everywhere.
Make little herds out of them.
Yeah, made little herds and this and that and other. And Todd called me one day, and Jeremy Wiles, the guy that Bob talks to on the cell phone, I had cows. And Todd stopped down there. I forget what year it was. And he said, in about 2.5 months, Jeremy wanted a load of like, I'm going to say 600 pounders, something like that. And I said, man, I ain't into all them yearlings and calves and this and that and the other. My daddy bought peewees, like little 150 to 200 pounds. We did that when I was a kid. Daddy had a lot more cows than he did calves, but we'd keep 40 or 50 calves all the time, you know, which wasn't a big deal then. You know, cattle was cheap, but he had 2 little pastures. We kept some in, and I liked that. Okay, you know, I enjoyed that, and but I got to the point where I said okay, and Todd said somebody's got a half a load, and you buy the other half loads. So I think I bought 40. Or some 42, started doing it, and it was okay, made a little money at it. So the cow thing got a little higher and higher, and so I started buying some 6-weight bulls, and so we buy them, band them, get them straightened out, you know, sell them when they weigh, you know, 8 or 9. And I like that. I like to buy the ugly, scraggly ones that's really thin. I don't know, you know, I was taught when I was little, my daddy would fuss at me all the time about something. And he said, boy, you buy too many of them little fat grease balls. You know, they're fat, and they'd be out there hollering for the mamas. And I said, I like them, you know. And anyway, he said, we buy poor cattle. And you know, now since everything's changed, it's changed a lot. It's harder the thinner cattle, the thinner type cattle, a lot of them's inbred. It's not, when I was a kid, if he got sick and you doctored him, it was not none of this lingering on for 40 or 60 days and him dying. It was like you doctored him, and the next day you went out there and he was eating, he was going to go on, or he'd be dead the next day. And the vaccines and the medicines built up and this and that and other, and you know, I think sometimes we give them too much of that stuff. But that's what you know, it's what it says on the label.
That's the protocol, yeah.
You know, but
so y'all do a little bit of backgrounding, and y'all do a little bit of trading. I mean, just buying some that are thin, get them straightened back out, and then you know, bring them back around, whether it be cows or calves or whatever. Well, explain a little bit what order buying is, and when you sit there and you buy some, if you go to the sale and watch Joey buy, he'll buy some, he'll put them on Joey this or Joey that or Joey, but he might put some on, you know, another name and stuff, and have numbers to them, which is a whole nother thing. But explain a little bit the order buying process and where those cattle go.
Well, the order buying's like the Barretts or Randy Cardinal, the Masters. They ship a lot of cattle out west. Todd ships a lot of cattle out west to people here and there and everywhere. You know, they'll have somebody call them up and say, hey, I want a load of 350-pound calves. And you know,
and they might be going to wheat pasture out west, or might be going
grass.
they're not necessarily going to feedlots at that
No.
size. Yeah.
So, I bought some over the years, little small ones, that they went straight to the feed yard. Most of the little cattle go to grass.
Mm-hmm.
And they just tell you kind of what they want, this and that and the other, and you kind of throw them together the best you can at that day. If everybody's really banging and it's high, you dip, dodge, duck, and dive, and do the best you can to throw that kind of cattle together that look alike. I make a mess sometimes. Everybody, but you know what?
If you had never made a mess, you had never bought enough. Isn't that the same?
I've made a mess for whoever I've ever bought some for.
Yeah.
And but the thing about it is, they might holler and cuss you out or something like that. But if they've ever bought any, they've made a mess too.
Oh yeah.
So you can say I have not done that, but you have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll get one that has a big foot or a cut on his side or something like that, here and there, especially when things is really rolling, that calf turns one time and goes out that gate. It's,
we're selling 3 to 4 minute.
Yeah, so you're going to make mistakes, and hey, you know what? Everybody does, so.
Mm-hmm. But so mostly just trying to put together, I don't think people realize how much trucking is part of what we do.
Oh, it's a lot.
It's a big
lot. By the time I pay all, I'm just sort of a little fish, and most of mine are local. They go to Bob's, places like that, and by the end of the week, you paid everybody their truck, and you're like, damn.
Left.
But then they gotta make money too, because fuel's so high, and you gotta have them to get them out of the sale barns. We we have goosenecks.
Right.
We don't do no tractor trailers.
But like those guys that are putting those, like you talked about the LeMasters and the RCs and the Barretts and stuff, that truck, they're trying, the goal's 50,000.
Yeah.
And to make a tractor trailer truckload.
Some of them load, something like the Barretts will load a little lighter. They'll load about 46,000 on most of their trucks. Some people put 52,000 on there and, roll them out west. And, like if the weather's good and it's not so hot and all, you're usually good, If it gets hot and all, you got to load them a little bit lighter.
Hey guys, another one of our corporate sponsors, Courtney Hunter Ariola. When you talk about a realtor in the Morgan County, Oconee County, that just south of Athens market, she is your go-to girl. Trustworthy, she's knowledgeable, she knows everything, she can help you with anything. She specializes in land and farms. She's with the Keller Williams Lake Oconee team, Miss Rhonda Smith. And if you need a really good real estate agent to guide you through the whole process, whether you're buying or selling, make sure you call Courtney Hunter Ariola.
Well, that's what I think some people don't realize, like when they take their cattle to the sale barn and they're like, well, they all look the same to me.
They're not the same.
And
that's the biggest thing I've heard. I've been cussed out from people. You stole my calf. I said, no, I didn't. I wrote them a check for it. I've done paid for your calf.
Yeah.
It'd be 2 weeks later, they get their check. And I was like, and if they come in there, like most of the time, I'm like, well, you want it back? No, I don't want it back.
Yeah.
But
it's inevitable. If you got 20, if a man only had 20 cows and he bred them all, and he bought 20 heifers off the same place, and they all look pretty similar, and you bred them all the same, but you're going to have one in there that's going to be a little, just something different.
Probably three.
Yeah.
Probably 3 out of the 20, and the people, they was all black.
Yeah.
I've heard that. They was all black, Yeah, they was all black, and the thing about it is, I tell them, I was like, I don't know what your mama cows look like. You got some older cows. Well, there's a couple older cows in there. Well, their calf might not have been as good and been a little bit shaggier than some of them others. And, right now, it really didn't matter if he was shaggy and ugly. He's high,
Yeah.
But when they get picky, when cattle get cheap, or I don't know if they'll ever be cheap again. I don't know. But
what is cheap anymore?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But people say that all of them look the same.
Yeah.
And that's why I never want to run a sale.
Well, and that's what they just don't realize, I don't think, is that, when you're putting an order together for Barrett and they're buying these 3-weight bull calves or whatever, if they had, this one guy brings all his up there and they all look kind of same, well, one of them might have been a month or two younger than the other one. The cow got missed a time or two or something,
right.
whatever reason, by the bull, and so he didn't fit on that load. Well, that was the hot ticket item today, was them 3 wet bulls, and then they see, this other one, maybe he was too big. Maybe they don't realize the weight spread on what the good order was 3 to 375, and he weighed 410.
Yeah.
And they just, even though he's a good calf, he just might not have been what was the home run hitter that
That's
day.
right. And the bad thing about it is too, though, when they sell a little calf. The highest that little 3 weights we had was like $7 and something back a couple months ago, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in South Georgia, I think they had some bring 805 or 810.
Chew boy.
So, okay, that man gets his check. Well, he goes to the biscuit barn every morning, and there's 4 or 5 old people in there. Well, that's the first thing he says. Well, then they get run out there and grab theirs, and then when they sell theirs, they may have some oddball. Well, mine didn't bring but 440. Well, he's mad. Well, so-and-so's brought 810. I'm like, it's not, everybody don't have the same stuff, but they think that, a lot of them take the check into the biscuit barn and look at this,
Especially now.
look at this.
And I don't know that people there can just be little things, having white feet. There's just some things that these certain guys, that they don't realize what the whole process is. You sending, if say you bought a truckload for some guy, you send them to a wheat pasture in, Oklahoma. And he don't want to look, he wants to look out there, and if he's got 1,000 of them turned out, they need to all be pretty similar, same size, right. and look the same, and they're getting them from all over the place. They're not going to have that order for the one with the white feet or something.
Well, they like the idea when somebody gives out an order, and I understand. They'll say from 3 to 375. Well, when you throw 140 of them, and people do different things. I throw all mine together. I have 2 weeks worth at my house just because everything. You got some in this bin, some in this bin, some in this bin. Like when the people get out there, they may have different little traps that they cut them up in, 30 something in a trap to keep them separate a little bit, which I think they do better that way. If you got the space and the places to put them. But like a lot of people throw them in there, they want them to contend with one another. And if one weighs 440, he's going to knock all them, he's going to knock some back, this and that and other. I have that problem myself because, I'm like, if he weighs 550 and he's pretty reasonable, I'm probably going to try him. And then if he weighs 800, and he's pretty reasonable, and I'll throw them in. And Daniel he gets a little angry about that sometimes because he's the one that,
has to deal with it.
Thursday, we usually doctor everything on Thursdays, Fridays, and Thursdays, and then Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays I'll feed because they go have rodeos and stuff, and he likes to do that, and that's his golf game or fishing. He does that,
right? And
he makes good money at it. Taking the cattle to the rodeo, he just rents them to the people. That's what he said. He rents them for a day, and so does that. But he'll get mad. He'll say, "Why you buy these 2 little ones? I'm gonna have to doctor them." I said, "You might not." I don't know.
You're like, honey, hush.
He is. He likes to scold me. And it's fine,
Yeah. It's a little bit you're gambling too. I always said, if you live somewhere where there was a casino, we'd probably not know about you because you'd be living.
We'd be out there holding the can. Somebody dropped some change in it.
Yeah, poor little Timmy.
But everybody wants them. They do better if they're,
same size. Put one with some horns in there and watch him run everything off the trough.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we buy some with horns sometimes, and Daniel will watch them and around the house. And if they're real bad, or whatever, we might tip the ends of them. Most of the time we don't, because most of the bulls is funny though. Bulls is different than heifers and cows. Heifers and cows are real hateful to one another. Like the bulls will get in there, unless he's got little turned up sharp horns, but you don't see that many of that kind anymore. They don't really hook them and, fight a whole lot. He watches them, he'll feed them at the feed trough, and if one does, we'll tip about that much. Because if you go to cutting the horns off when you first buy them, They die.
Make them sick.
It makes them sick.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
You know, I've always heard that about longhorn cows. If I've always, and maybe it's true or not, but if you cut the horns off a bred cow, she'll slip a calf.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes she will. I like for them to have the calf and the calf be up, 150 pounds, and we'll move them and bring them back home. And we usually just catch them in the pen and bring them back home because it's easier to work them at the barn and then haul them all back. And once it's done had the calves and this, that, and the other, yeah, we're going to knock them horns off then. But as far as dehorning anything, when you first turn it out, no.
Don't do it.
What about like the eared cattle? I personally love all the Brahmas and the F1s and
me
things.
too. That's my favorite.
Yeah, they're beautiful to me. But what do they not do as well up here in the Northeast Georgia area?
As far as growing,
or just why people, it seems to be that Daddy always said, well, I'm like, Daddy, I like the ear. Why are they not the ear
they knock
cattle?
them because they don't grade quite as good as Angus.
Okay.
Which is a funny thing. You said that because when I was a kid in the 80s,
Yeah.
the crossbreds, everybody had Gerts, Charolais, Limousines, Brahma crosses.
Right.
You go to sell, when my daddy bought calves, he buy black ones. And I was like, Daddy, why we got all them black ones out here? I want to see something.
Some
He
color.
said, boy, don't ask me what I do. He said, people say they're short. And that's all I heard when in the 80s. These short blacks, everything. But if it was had a Hereford daddy or Hereford mama and it was a black white face, he was wonderful. And and there's a few shorter cattle now. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, 25, 30%, but most of them's got some scimitar in them now, and they're not short.
They kind of bred that little short, the little pictures you see from the cow show in Ireland with the little big holding them down like this.
But when I was, nobody wanted them, and we'd turn them out, and Daddy would grow them till they weighed 700 and something. And back then, just say if it brought $1, the best one brought $1, that black one would bring 94.5. And Daddy said, well, we bought them a lot cheaper, and the difference in, like, a lot of people now, I don't think you see a set of calves that somebody has and you're like, this man needs a new bull. And I think the older generation back then in the 80s, them people bought good bulls. They didn't rate, Like now, somebody says, oh, he's pretty, we're going to raise him. And then they breed the sisters and the mamas and all that back, and then they inbred. And, a little medium frame calf comes out, and then he don't grow quite as well as a calf with some good genetics is everything.
I don't think people, I can go on for days about things I don't think people realize. I feel like I've said that 12 times already today, but like you guys too, sitting there, the same guy's cattle come back year after year. I've heard y'all say it over and over and over again, sitting up there. Joe Smith's cat. His calves here. Oh man, he's always got some good ones. Yeah. Or the one I remember. You remember the Iturian cattle we used to go catch. You talk about inbred, wild, crazy. I mean, they run all over the countryside. They were free ranging, and
no fence rule. Was it?
We used to go. We caught a bunch of them one time. Well, I think Joey. It might have been part of some of this when we had to. But they were getting out winter. It was a cold winter. We had a bunch of snow, and they was getting out on Daddy's place he had rented down on dirt road.
I remember that.
And Daddy went and set up a whole V of hay. I mean, probably 200 rolls of hay, and set them up down to a trap at the end of it. And he went over every day and he ran them back home because they'd come over in his place and he'd chase them back home. They'd run through that V of hay and run through them panels and go back to their house. And he did that every day. One day we shut all the panels because the county was getting after him about this cattle getting out. He shut all the panels, and when you caught those things, it was like having a tiger in a phone booth. I mean, they
wasn't that big. Most of them wasn't that big. 7 to 900 and they was fully grown. And they wasn't. They'd been eating what they wanted to. Some people's cows was starving. Them cows was eating grass that had grown up
side the road, everywhere else,
wherever they wanted to go. But I bought them cows before when I was younger. Now I probably wouldn't tackle that but.
Well, back to her point about the Brahmas, it takes a little bit of knowledge to manage those things.
You got to have pretty good fences and pretty good catch pens, and
you don't just go run out there and chase them up in the pen either.
No,
Well, they call the cracker cowboys for a reason, don't they? Yeah. There's a reason for that.
I like the Brahma cows.
Yeah,
we live in the South. We don't live in the North.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Them calves that I get. When I do get some, you don't get to get a whole lot because we don't have a whole lot. I try to buy some when I see them. you watch them versus a black or black baldy, which everybody loves. And you're sitting there thinking, this joker right here is like walking off and leaving them growing. Because most of them are like a mutt dog. They're crossed
Times
up,
57.
hybrid bigger.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love them. If I could buy all that kind, I would. Todd would fuss at me because, hey, this got some ear and crest and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, if you did what we did, you would, and he should see the difference because I buy some over there and then he loads them. I mean, he's seen so many though. And he'll fuss at me sometimes.
There's a home for everything, isn't there?
I mean, that's my daddy always said that everything's got a price.
Yeah.
You make your money when you buy it, not when you sell it. The market goes way up. You're just lucky the market went up. Might not do that all the time.
Now you mentioned your dad a few times. Your dad, Mr. Joe, he was an auctioneer, and you said he background some cattle and stuff and all. Was he a first generation cattle guy?
He was my when you leave out of Watkinsville and you go down Collin Ferry Road. You know where the church is, where the roads cross that go back to 441?
Is it Astondale?
No, well, Astondale, that crosses right there. Well, right before you get there was where my daddy was raised at. They was cotton farmers.
Okay.
And I don't know, daddy was, there was, when you went down Astondale Road, there was people had a dairy, they milked jerseys. And daddy had went down there and helped the man do some work when he was younger. I guess daddy was 16 somewhere, maybe 15, 16. And they all around through there, they had planted cotton, that what they picked and this and that and other. And so daddy went down there and helped the man at the dairy. And their name was Mathis. I guess it would be one of the Mathis, the youngest Mathis. He still lives down there. He's got colored cows. But anyway, so daddy went down there and helped him. And for daddy's pay, they give him like 200-pound Jersey bulls, little skinny, scrawny Jersey bulls. They said, I'm going to give you these, which, at that time, I don't know what daddy's pay was worth, but
it was pretty cheap child labor for 2 Jersey bulls.
But so daddy said, he told me the story. He said, I put a rope around them, led them up the road, got them home. Well, they cotton farmed. Well, I don't know how. I should have asked him. I never did ask him, but he said he fed them cotton seed. I don't know, but I guess when they picked the cotton at that time, did they get? I don't know if they got the seed out. How did they get the seed out of the cotton, or it wasn't took to a gin nowhere? I don't know. Somebody come picked up the cotton, but anyway, daddy fed them little Jersey bulls cotton seed. Well, there was a man and woman lived in Watkinsville, come down through there in a wagon, and seen them sitting right there and stopped. And they was probably weighing 500 pounds. And they said, we would like to have them, to put in our freezer. And they was fat and pretty. And my grandmama said, well, they're Joe's. He'll be back in a little while. And so anyway, somehow daddy got in touch with the man and woman, and daddy sold them for $20 a piece. So the story my daddy told, which my daddy was a good storyteller. Yeah. I mean, he was a real good storyteller. He could keep you going on for hours. Anyway, daddy said, I got the $40, come home. He said, I told my daddy, he said, come on, we're going out here to do something with this cotton. Daddy said, I ain't doing no more damn cotton. and he said that was it. And so a couple years later, he went in the Army and met this guy named Leroy Marshall. And Leroy was in the Army, and Daddy was in the Army, and when they come back out of the Army, they started doing cattle. Cattle and hogs. They did hogs too. Did a lot of hogs back then. They had hogs. They did hogs and cattle, and so therefore that's how it landed in my lap,
Well, I think that's what my daddy meant when he said that, is just Joey grew up in it. He knows it. It's always been.
That's all I wanted to do.
Because he was an auctioneer too.
He was an auctioneer. He was.
And
but the difference in me and my daddy is, I go to a sale, people don't like me. And
I don't know about all that. But.
Well, that's fine. people they love my daddy.
Yeah.
Everybody. There was very few people. I mean, they love Daddy. Daddy, he sold their cattle and, helped them. And Daddy really worked hard for the farmers and his friends that sold cattle. And, everybody to this day, I miss your daddy. Yeah, not no more than I do. I miss him.
Yeah.
Ain't a day goes by that I don't miss him.
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier is that, some of how we are doing the podcast is just getting people's stories. It's just fun to hear. I mean, you're telling me some stories I've never heard. And I sit every Wednesday and listen to Joey tell stories. And you say your daddy was a good storyteller. I think you are too. That's a generational thing.
I can't quite tell him like my daddy can, though. I mean, he could keep you on edge, this and that and other, and you laugh. But
I think we could do. I think we could do a interview my grandpa, because what would you give to go back and have a recording of your daddy? You could go listen to some of them stories he used to tell.
I say this a million times. If I would have started when I was in 1981, I'd have been 10 years old. If I'd have had the brains in my head to wrote all that stuff down, and had it
bestseller book.
Oh, people would read it because there's so many people that do what we do and been through what we've been through. They were, and he was like, I never forget. It was like, I think it was like 2003 or 4 or something like that. He died in 2005, but there's a chair that sits in my barn, and he always come down there, and he'd sit in that chair, and we work cattle, and one would come through, and he'd be in the chute crazy. I said, "Get up, Daddy. Hold the gate," because I got a gate that's swinger. He said, "Hold that gate." I said, "Get up, Daddy." I said, "You need to get up." So he get mad every time he had to get up. Well, why'd you buy that old wild one? I said, because I like the wild ones. They usually do. They do good. And
survivors.
So he get up and get mad about it. I told you about buying them old wild ones. They gonna tear up this, blah blah blah. And one day he said, "Oh, that little old calf ain't gonna do nothing." And I held the gate. Well, as soon as he come out the gate, he hit that gate, and that gate come right up. On top of Daddy. And he turned around. I said, "You better get up and hold that gate." Well, he held the gate, and the calf come on and went out the way it was supposed to go, and this and that. He said, "Man, you was gonna let that calf kill me." I said, "Well, I told you to get up." You said no. And so I think 2 or 3 weeks later, I said, "Daddy, I think this is." He said, "Well, I better get up now," because he done got older. And he'd say, "What this one cost her? What this one cost her? What this one cost her?" And I'd be telling him, and a lot of ones, he would sell back that I'd bought. So, just say if I give $1 for it, I say, $1.15, Daddy. I know you. That's like, well, he'll try a little harder, But he was, and so that chair is still in my barn. I might have to put it back together a little bit. But
it's been there for a minute.
It's been there for a second.
That's the thing about the stockyards is that and you hear so many people that even don't come all the time. Or I've been in a stockyard every week of my life, probably since I was 5.
Unless we was on vacation.
Yeah, maybe there were some times there during college and stuff, or whatever, or school, where we didn't. But during the summer times, especially when you're a kid, you were there all the time. And man, your people say, "Man, my daddy used to take me to the stockyard, and it was fun. We had a good time doing it." But man, it's one of the last places. Like, I feel like the whole world's gone to about the only way you communicate, with the phones and stuff and what. But you go down to stockyard, there's people gonna be sitting around talking
about something,
telling old stories, old farmers, old timers, and man, I just.
But there's a sad thing too, though. You look around, not as many of the old timers there that is.
There is, right? Yeah. I agree with that.
But there's. I feel like it's a place kids ought to be around that crowd and see that and realize that there's a real world out there. It's not on Facebook or something.
That's kind of like you see something on TV or whatever, or reading a book, where it says you see a guy says, takes his daughter hunting. He'll say, and then he'll say, "Well, take your kids hunting.
Yeah.
Take your kids to the sale barn.
Yeah.
Take your grandkids to the sale barn."
Well, just if nothing, there's a lot of people that. Nowadays, because like you said, it used to be cattle on every corner. Everybody used to have a milk cow in the backyard, chickens or whatever. There's getting to be a little bit of a revival of that with some of the COVID stuff. I feel like a lot of people come.
Yeah.
But
it kind of did.
A lot of people don't know where the food comes from.
Well, then it died out. The COVID, everybody got, when COVID come, we're going to get some chickens and lay some eggs and we're going to, kill us a beef and this, that, and other. And now it's kind of, kind of sort of faded out again just because the world, I guess they thought the world was going to come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
it
they
didn't.
started,
But
yeah.
it didn't, you know.
Yeah. Well, COVID did good things for the society. It slowed people down. It made them realize, like, hey, we may want a little more acreage, a little more.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you know, they can something grasp onto that. But I agree.
You know, I just, I tell my kids all the time I'm gonna die because they know I'm gonna have me a grandkid. I said I'm gonna have to adopt me some kid. I said, you know, but you know, I miss the kids going with me.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, it's funny you say that because Daddy, where he leases some of his pastures at, there's a house beside there, and there's about 5 foster kids that they have right there, and it is the time of their life to go. And Daddy takes time with them.
That's great.
And there's this one little black boy named Moses, and he's like, "Oh, y'all to see Moses? He's 4 years old. They don't experience anything like that."
No.
And so he told their mama, he said, "Now look, I'm gonna have y'all meet me at the cow barn one day, and I'm gonna bring all these kids, and he wants to take them there."
Yeah.
And he's like, they need to experience that.
Yeah.
And they're so excited. I mean, that's a field trip.
They should show some of that. I mean, certain schools like Stevens County, they'll bring some kids up there.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you know, I could look up there at them kids. They're young adults. They're not really. I think they're really if you're from 12 years old back, is where you really get the stockyard experience. You like it. You see, I'll see half of them sitting up there. Some of them be sitting there sleeping, this and that, and they're not interested.
Yeah.
You know, but some of them would be like, you know, watching things that go on.
Wide-eyed.
Yeah, you know, a cow come in the ring and tries to kill everybody and bouncing off the walls. Now they'd like that. You know, that excites the kids.
Yeah. All right, you mentioned hunting and stuff a little bit, Joe. You wanted to. I feel like you're still toting the banner of people who want to eat stuff that is not something you still hear about a lot of stuff eating. I know rabbit. I know you love to eat fried rabbit. I know.
Rabbit. Oh yeah, I love rabbit. That's probably one of my favorite foods. My wife, it's one of her favorites. She's like, cook some rabbit.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, and I know y'all used to coon hunt a lot when you were
Yeah, we
kids,
did.
stuff, and make coon barbecue and stuff.
Yeah,
over there.
Daddy, he, you know, back then people ranged turkeys. Everybody had turkeys in Oconee County, Georgia, and that's where we hunted at. We go, they take the turkeys off the ranges, and them feeders would be out there. Well, them coons would eat out of them feeders.
Get fat.
So we take puppies down there and train our puppies, and Daddy'd say, you know, go down there at Randy Wilson's and turn them dogs loose and bring us a coon back and I'll skin it. Well, me and my buddy John, we'd go down there, we'd be back home in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, Daddy's out there and he'd clean it, and the next night he'd cook it, and you know, it was good. And people go, I can't believe you eat that. You know, cow tongue.
Yeah.
But
They say it's so good.
so good.
I mean, my
never
buddy
had
Ask Walker.
Caleb.
Ask
so
Walker.
good.
Daniel's
That's why-
wife, the first time I ever had it, talking about Daniel again.
Yeah.
One day we was going down the road and somebody run over a dog. And I said, dang, Daniel, look at that big old dog right there in the road. I mean, he's like a big old boxer. And he turned his head. He was looking this way, and I kept on going. I said, what's wrong with you? He said, oh, don't look at that dog. It'll haunt your soul. Dead dogs and dead cats.
He's got something.
Oh, he does. And you
Yeah.
ask Walker, he goes on this. He's superstitious, I guess.
Yeah.
Or it may be something
In there.
in Mexico.
Yeah.
that
Right.
they're that way. And I'll tell you another funny story here in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, I'd probably say you're going fixing to say, well, look, you know, we've been here long enough. You got to go.
No. You got time.
But
I got a fresh card in the camera. I knew we was gonna get some good stories out of Joe. I got a fresh one.
But anyway, so we got not as many cats around the barn. And Daniel goes up to the store, buys $100 worth of cat food, keeps in a big old barrel there, feeds cats every day. Well, he run over one of the cats with a skid steer. A little kitten run out through there. He run over the kitten, you know, and he got off the skid steer, and I'll come around through there, and he was just all bent out of shape. And I said, what's wrong? What are you doing? And he said, I run over the kitty. And I said, well, he shouldn't have been there. And he said, I need to want you to put it in a sack for me. And I said, what for? He said, I'm going to take it to the dirt road and bury it. And I said, okay.
Aw.
So I got him a sack, put it in, took it to the dirt road and buried it. I tease him, you know, don't be, you cat killer, don't kill no cats or nothing like that, this, that, and other. So getting back to the beef tongue, that's how all this. So me and Gavin was at the house, and Christy and Kaylee and Dylan had gone somewhere. We come in from work, and it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It was in the wintertime. And we had fed that day. Daniel hadn't come. Well, Daniel called me. He said, hey, what you doing? I said, well, me and Gavin sitting here thinking about what we're going to eat for supper. He said, me bringing you your supper. And I said, okay. And I said, what is it? He said, I can't tell you.
It's the cat.
And
It wasn't no cat.
so, funny you say that too. So, Gavin said, it's Daniel. And so Gavin runs to the door. Daniel has this big old plate. Elbow had a big old platter. What you got in there, Daniel? Daniel said, little cat and little dog. And I said, and Gavin went, and I said, no, he's not Chinese. And first of all, he has superstitions of cat and dog. Gavin said, well, I don't care if it is a little cat and dog. Smells good.
I'm hungry.
So Gavin took the big platter in there, set it down. There were 16 burritos in there. They was about this long, about this big around. And I sat there talking to Daniel for a second. He said, well, go eat your supper and call me back and tell me how it is. And I said, okay. Well, I done got in there. Gavin done eat 2 of them.
Yeah.
Gavin said, Daddy, this is the best stuff I've ever put in my mouth. What is it? I said, I don't know. I ain't even tasted it yet. He said, it's like roast. And I said, well, maybe it's, you know, something off of a cow that they had took off.
You're like, I know we buried the cat.
Yeah. If you knowed him, superstitions of dogs and cats,
He wouldn't have done it.
coyotes. But anyway, so Gavin was sitting there, and so I took a bite of this. I'm like, oh man.
Just melt in your mouth.
So next thing you know, I was laid over there, and my eyes were swole up. Gavin's eyes were swole up. Gavin said, Daddy, I'm about to die. We done eat every one of them.
Just
And,
plop popping.
I said, man, we shouldn't have did that. I said, I'm gonna feel like crap here for hours. He said, call Daniel and ask him what it was. So I said, Daniel, what was that? He said, cow tongue. Mm-hmm. He said they had like 5 or 6 cow tongues that they had, and they had froze, and his wife cleaned them. And you know, and people's like, oh, that's gross, blah blah blah. But the thing you don't understand, it's not that sandpaper cow tongue.
Yeah.
That you're thinking about, right?
It's the meat that's inside the cow tongue.
They skin it
Yeah,
just like you would a yeah.
Yeah, just like, and she knows how to do it. And it's kind of like, you know, brisket. When you get a brisket, you got to cut all that silver part and the fat off, and all the, you know, get all that, you know, tape like stuff off of it. I've eaten cow tongue before, and it's okay. Some places it's all right, but it's not like hers, because you can tell there's a little more chew to it, just because they don't get the silver skin off of it. They get the sandpaper part off
the skin,
of it.
yeah.
But so she's cooked some for us at the barn and bring it. We'll be eating lunch. She'll bring us some for lunch, or Daniel will go get it, and I love it. Well, him and Danny don't. Danny eats chicken most of the time, and but Daniel's got the gout, so he can't eat it as much. So therefore we don't get fed like we used to. But I never ever went over there. I've been to eat with him a million times, especially if Christy and them's gone or whatever. Daniel, when they cook something, he always calls me. Well, if you ain't eating or went nowhere, come over here and eat. Great food. You know, I've never went one time I said, no, this wasn't great. You know, they cook it in a different way. It's not hot. The first time we cooked a goat, and they cooked it, like steamed it in a pot. And he raised the pot, and I looked in there and I said, this was in 2008, probably 8. And I said, Daniel, that's too hot. I probably can't eat that. Oh no, it's not hot. He likes hot stuff, but he's not extreme Mexican like, you know, Jose sit there and eat them hot papers.
He'll just chew them jalapenos.
And the sweat be popping off of him. He say, you want one? No, Jose, no thank you. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But Daniel's not extreme hot. But when I looked in, it was like blood red sauce. And first thing I just thought was, God, that stuff's got so much peppers and stuff in it, I can't eat it. But it's cherry juice and orange juice mixed together. It's cherry juice and orange juice, and his wife cooks in that. Salt, pepper, seasonings, this and that and the other. Pull it out there, and you can ask Walker too. You eat it, and it's wonderful, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've always heard you talk about eating some different stuff, and some you can tell when somebody's around over there, and you start telling those stories that had never.
Oh yeah,
that, like you said, the people that just eat chicken nuggets or something or whatever.
Well, even Todd. I told Todd one day about beef tongue, and tell you what, he wasn't into that. He did not have no use for eating that.
My daddy's that way. You always I've been to calf fry before, whatever. And, they cook calf fries and stuff. Whatever,
I love that.
Whatever. And my dad's that way. He's not going to eat stuff like he said. I'm not eating anything you got to drink beer to get down. He said, I ain't doing it.
Now see, when we used to cut a lot of them, we cut them.
Yeah.
And Gavin would be running around the barn. Gavin's 20. He was born in 98. Kaylee was born in, so Kaylee's 23. And so Gavin was probably 10 years old when she was 5 or something like that. And Gavin running around the barn, let's cook them bull nuts, Daddy. Okay, go find us some cooler out of the medicine room. So I'd keep them, I'd clean them, we'd cook them, and Christy was like, I'm not eating that. I am not eating that. Just go on and go on, and I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that. I said, okay. So one Sunday for lunch or something, Kaylee was running around in a little nightgown, like little girl's nightgown. So she wore a nightgown everywhere she went when she was little. So me and Gavin got up in there and we fried them and had them there, and Gavin had ranch and hot sauce and ketchup, and he was dipping them in. So Kaylee said, "What y'all eating?" Gavin said, "Chicken fingers." Well, fix me some. So she chopped right up in there and started eating them.
Man, he's good.
So so Christy walks through there and she said, "Kaylee, do you know what that is?" Kaylee said, "Yep, it's chicken fingers." She said, "They good, Mama." And Christy just shook her head, and curiosity killed the cat then. Because Christy says, "Well, then let me try one." So then she gets to where, she don't say, "Well, they're really, really," she don't say, "They're really, really good." She said, "It's okay."
It's okay.
Well, I said, "Well, you done eat 9. So it's got to be better than okay." And so we went to Texas to see Gavin out there when he played at Billy Bob's. We go in the restaurant out there. Well, they had calf fries. Chris said, "You want to get us some of them calf fries?" I laugh. I think about that. I was like, y'all didn't want no part of that. And that was good out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But strange things, I don't know. My mom and daddy cook strange things. That's what we eat. Fish, catfish. We fished, hunted. Christy don't like cooking squirrel. She will not cook squirrel.
My grandmother went in, she said nothing but a rat.
Well, it wasn't really that. It was like that Gavin and his buddy would go kill a mess of them, and they'd bring them back, or whether they still have some hair. Well, they shoot them with a shotgun. Well, they still have some hair in them from the pellets and this and that.
Yeah.
Christy couldn't get past the hair. It's too hairy.
Yeah.
So she said, "No more squirrels." So, but
that's where the line gets drawn.
that was one of my childhood memories too. We go hunt. I go quail hunting with my uncle. A rabbit hunting with my daddy, or squirrel hunter, or deer hunter, or something. We was always, when I was a kid, we was always hunting. And then, another sad thing too, when life takes place, you don't get to do as much as that as you really want to. I try to go shoot doves, this and that and the other. Did a little deer hunt this year.
One of our sponsors is Jake Willcox. He is with Iris Inc Realty. He is right here in Oglethorpe County, and anything from farms and land, horse farms, cattle farms, a little bit of residential, a little bit of commercial, anything like that. He's a hardworking guy. He's trustworthy and will do a great job for you.
Have you ever seen that billboard that the PETA people tried to put over over the restaurants and stuff, and they'd be like, have like a cow and a pig and a horse and whatever, and they're like, "Where do you draw the line?"
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, some people's line is way further down here than some of those. Some people's like stops at the cow and the chicken. You know what I mean? Some people's gets on down.
If you can cook it good.
Yeah.
I don't really never eat possum.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think
You know,
I'd probably.
and my daddy's talking about, you know, they put it up and put it in like a little chicken coop and feed it.
I've seen a
cornbread
possum
and
come out of a
buttermilk.
dead cow before.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but you know, a coon's sort of a scavenger too.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, never eat a possum. Really don't want to. I ain't gonna say I ain't. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because you know, one day you're sitting there and you're really really hungry. You might eat something you might not want to eat. But
Johnny Michael, he used to do the turtle stew?
Yeah, we did
stew.
turtle mull. Daddy
Yeah.
killed turtles, snapping turtles. We'd get them, and Daddy would just throw loaf bread. He'd have a big old tin barrel, put them big old snapping turtles in the barrel, and wouldn't just put enough. The turtle have his head up out of that water most all the time, but his back would be covered in the water. And Daddy would feed them loaf bread
Purge them.
for a week, and then we go out there and like if they caught them on the hook, they'd catch them on big hooks like on a trot line or whatever. They just cut the line, and the line would still be there. And so Daddy'd pick him up, and we had a big concrete well house. It was like round. He said, "Now grab that string." I'd pull the string out, pull his head out. He'd chop his head off. He'd go to cleaning him, clean the turtle. We'd make turtle chicken mull, and it's very good.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
I've had a lot of turtle mull back when Mr. Charles Ogle used to make it all the time. He used to make turtle mull.
You don't hear people, you know. I think I asked Alan Peck about that when we was talking about it, because him and Johnny was real good, close, and I told him, I said, we get us some turtles water, and he said, yeah, we'll do that.
Is a community event when somebody had a turtle mull.
Yeah.
it was a
Mr.
big-
Charles
yeah,
would get one
yeah,
boy. I mean,
yeah.
you didn't have cell phones back then. I don't know how the word got around, but everybody figured out you
Somehow.
had one, and it was.
You know, I don't know how you describe the taste of that though, because it's different. It's
It's not fishy.
it's not fishy at all. It's like, it's gamey,
Yeah.
but it's like I guess you would call it something like dark meat chicken. Like it's dark.
Yeah.
It would be closer to. It wouldn't be like white meat chicken.
I
Yeah.
like dark meat, so I could.
You know? Turtle's very good.
Yeah. Well, there is one story I want you to tell.
Okay.
And if it gets too offhand, we can cut it out if we have to.
Okay.
Tell the story about the I don't know if it was a Holstein or a Jersey with the horn maggots. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
I swear to this day, this is probably the funniest story. I tell people this story all the time.
I thought you was going to ask me about the time the blind calf climbed up the ramp at Greensboro, climbed up the catwalk.
Oh yeah, you can tell that one too. But you know the one I'm talking about. Don't you? Yeah.
We used to do a lot of Holsteins. Got in the Holstein business. Steers.
Yeah.
We do Holstein steers, and Daniel started in 2007. So this had to have been somewhere in 2010, 11. A lot of Holsteins everywhere. Buy load lots of Holsteins, sell them on video. And Daniel hated it. Hated it. Despised it. Most of them had horns. You'd have to dehorn them. And bought a straggly bull somewhere for like a quarter. 25 cents. Something weighed about 5.75. Had big base horns. And was in there working them. And Daniel said, "You know, this is trash." And I said, "Well, it's my damn trash. You know, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You do your job, I do mine." And he said, "He's just trash." And got him somewhat straightened out. Some of them still get a little sick when you dehorn them, you know. And had come in there, and it was time to dehorn them. We do 80 or 100. I mean, you'd be chopping them horns off. And he hated it. It was just something that he don't like. And so got to trash. He said, "I tell you what, well, trash has got a little fatter." And I said, "Yeah, he has." I said, "He's starting to come out." So we cut him, whacked his horns off, put him behind the house. I put him behind the house. That way you keep a little tight watch on them, and then we'd move them to a bigger spot, you know. And had him behind the house. Coming there one Saturday morning, I was taking I take trash off about every Saturday. Take to the trash can out of the barn. We'll have 2 barrels of trash, back tags, whatever. Pulled in on the 4-wheeler. He said, "I'm gonna tell you something." And when he says that he mean, you know, it's like he means business. He said, "I'm gonna tell you something. Trash has got maggots in his head." I said, I said, "Is he the only one?" "Yeah." his horns was, most of the little Holstein's horns was that big, and when you cut them off, it was solid.
Oh, they were big. Yeah, these
But
bigger.
see, this was all the way to his, but you got to cut them kind to the head. When they get bigger, they look youthier.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, go get him. And he said, I already got him. He's in the alley. And I said, okay. And got in there, and Trash had a mop of hair. It was like, growed up at the top of his head. And had maggots in his head. The flies had done got in his head. And
In the horn hole.
In the horn holes.
Yeah.
And I said, get that kerosene over there. And I said, hold his head up sideways. And I filled that head full of kerosene. I said, all right, flip him over. Well, you turn him over. And I'm
Trying to kill all the maggots.
Well, here they come out. They just fall out. And it killed them,
Yeah.
So I said, well, do the other side. He did. I poured the kerosene in the other side and flipped his head back over and poured all the maggots out of his head. And he said, that's an ugly mop of hair on his head. I said, yeah, it really is. And it was 99 degrees that day. He said, I think we ought to burn the mop off the top of that head. And I said, we got a burner. We burn the hair off or whatever. And I said, yeah, you probably ought to. It'd probably,
Oh, no.
Well, we done poured all that kerosene in there.
No.
I blame myself. I should have known better than that. Really, he should have known better than that, too. Well, the old calf had done hollered, and it run down his back. The kerosene done run down its neck all the way down its back. Daniel took that torch, fired it up. When he laid it down on him, looked like the whole chute caught on fire. And he said, oh, shit, I've killed Trash. Get the water hose. Man, I sat there thinking, we might have to just get out of here because the barn's going to burn down. And so I got the water hose, which had a shower sprinkler on it. I flipped it over there and I wet him off. And I mean, smoke. And this calf, he was sitting there and he was pitiful. He had burn marks. He done went down. And
Oh, gosh.
I think we had to hook the hose up to the, the spigot. Somebody done unhooked it to wash their hands or whatever it was. And
It was just pure chaos.
he looked at me and I looked at him and I said, I'm going to tell you, we done some stupid stuff around here. But now that's about the stupidest stuff we've ever done. He said, man, I thought we killed Trash. He said he may not make it. And it was kind of like the cat. It broke his heart.
Oh, yeah. Because you done brought this thing back to life.
And I said, well, come on, let's go. Something else to do. Well, he dotes on stuff like that. So we turned him out. I said, take him on back and put him behind the house. And he was walking around, and he looked like a peeled onion after that. And got out there, and by the grace of God, he never slowed down. And it's funny, when he went up the big truck chute that day we loaded him, he said, goodbye, Trash. That's what he said. He's a mess. Crazy stuff.
That's still, I've told several people, and I don't tell it near as good as you do. You feel bad to laugh at it, but man, it's hard not to.
That was some of the stupid, we've done a lot of stupid stuff. And everybody does stupid things.
Oh, yeah.
We worked Walker. I think Walker was with us a couple summers ago. Hot,
Blue blazing.
One of them days it was hot. We had worked them, sorted them, this and that and the other, and had them. It was on Saturday morning. Here come Daniel through with the tractor. He comes down through there with the tractor, goes behind the house, goes behind my neighbor's house, feeds everywhere, comes back through there, leaves the gate open. We turn them out. Well, they mix in with about 100 more that was back there. Daniel just pulls on up through there. Well, he notices it by the time they're going in the trap with the others. Me and Walker and who was with us? It was me and Walker. Daniel looked off that tractor and looked at me and Walker and said, what have we done?
We.
I said, we ain't done nothing.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
So he pulls the tractor out. We go out through there, bring them all back up to the barn, start sorting them one at a time again. I said, man, you could have did this when it was cold.
Yeah, right.
We done sorted them about 9 times. That seems like that's what we sort more at home.
Like y'all needed to practice, you know.
I know. I mean, we're always sorting something because, you know, put the big ones here and the little ones here, and then, you know, you go back and get them again, and then you sort them again because you're getting the great big ones, and then the medium sized ones, and then the little ones, you're sticking them here and there. And, you know, it's just it's never ending sort.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, Joey, we'd be crazy not to ask you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, some of this ride with Gavin. I mean, you know, we've all known Gavin since he was a little kid, and he, you know, I guess to some people he's all kinds of famous. It's fun. You know, we went to the hockey game the other night, and it was fun to see people. I mean, just interact with him. But what's it been like to be the dad on the ride with the country music star?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and you know. People ask me all the time, what's it like being Gavin Adcock's dad? And I'm like, it's like being Gavin Adcock's dad. You know, nothing's changed. I mean, it has changed, I say that.
Let's set something aside real quick. Let's straighten something out. A lot of people, you get online, read the comments, a lot of people are like, man, that Gavin Adcock's always putting on, he's trying to do something. Gavin is Gavin.
Yeah.
He ain't changed one bit since he was 3 years old. That's exactly who other than the guitar and the singing, he has not changed one bit.
It's surreal. I mean, you know, it's crazy. And funny thing is going somewhere with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we was looking for a piece that went on the grain drill. I said, come on. It was like Friday evening, 4:30. I'm not going to, I told him we left out. We're on a wild goose chase. I'm not going to find the little piece that we needed.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to Tractor Supply, hardware store. I said, maybe you go in there. It was a little trailer. It was a trailer tire. That's what we was looking for, for the, you know, the little front tire that goes on there.
Yeah, that spins the deal, yeah.
Okay, that thing was made in Korea somewhere, and the only place you can get that from is by Haybuster. Because we went everywhere. I was like, you know. So I said, let's go to Walmart. Well, I really don't want to go to Walmart, Daddy. I said, why? Well, you know, he said, they'll just, you know, come up and start talking to me. And he said, you know, I'm at home. And sometimes I know he gets tired of that. But it's everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
So he had a hoodie on and a hat. And it's dusk dark, 5:30 in the evening. We going in Walmart. He has his glasses and his hoodie on. I turn around and look, and I was like, well, shit, you don't want somebody to think we're fixing to rob Walmart, do you? I said, you look like, I said, you just go one way and I go the other way.
He looks like the guy on the wanted poster, the Unabomber.
So he said, that ain't funny. So we go in there and we stay about 20 minutes. I was like, this tire ain't gonna work. So we was coming out. Well, as soon as we was coming out, there was two girls. And he had his hoodie on, this and that and other. And one girl said, oh my God, it's Gavin Adcock. And he heard him. He took about 2 steps. Well, this girl was done.
Yeah.
Are you Gavin Adcock? And I stood there. I'll always laugh because it's funny.
Yeah.
And can we get a picture? Yeah. So he took his hoodie off. And I was like, well, that wasn't too bad. It was just, you know, one person noticed who you was, you know. But you go places. We go to rest. We go out to eat or whatever. All the waitresses, wherever, from 16 years old to 72 years old, even the old, like, they know who Gavin is. We go somewhere, and the next thing you know, they're taking pictures. They come over and take pictures, and this and that. And it's fun to see that. I laugh.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, he's just, to me, to this day, he's Gavin.
Well, and I know I told you this. I'm pretty sure I told you this, because, and I'm speaking for Gavin here, but I guarantee you he can, the gold record, whatever and all, he can win, CMA awards, whatever, all that stuff. I promise you, him having your approval is the biggest award he's ever
I'm proud
won.
of him every day. There's not a day goes by that I'm not. And we talked last night, and he'd been to Boston, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Wednesday, I got home Wednesday evening from the sale, and Christy and Kaylee was out there, and Christy said, we're going to Las Vegas Friday morning. I said, okay. He plays in Las Vegas this weekend, then he goes to Stagecoach in California. So she said, we'll be gone 10 days.
Yeah.
So, her and Kaylee, they go as much as they can. I wish I could go more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on around the house. I go to the close ones when I go to, and he understands that because he knows there's a lot that goes on. But there's not a day go by that I'm not, overwhelmed or proud and he works so hard. And a lot of people don't see that end either, like I see it. Last night I talked to him, and him and the guy that cuts the records for him, Jay, he's from Watkinsville. Jay was in Nashville. And Jay was probably going to Las Vegas and California with him. But, it was 10 o'clock last night when I talked to him, and they'd still been there. He told me he had enough songs wrote to last a year. Mm-hmm. They're writing, Monday when I talked to him, he was writing songs.
Yeah. Yesterday,
probably might have wrote a song yesterday morning. I don't know. They're always writing something. He's got good people. It's a.
How did he get his first big break? Like, how did that all discover and come about? I mean,
he wrote "Ain't No Cure," and he started writing he wrote "Ain't No Cure" when he was at Georgia Southern, and then they had the school bus beer incident, and he was on top of the bus and drunk the beer, and it was more made of that than really what it was. And he hurt his knee. Well, he come home, when he hurt his knee, I was going one day to leaving out to go to the sale barn. He was sitting on the back porch. I went out there. He was writing a song. And he just got into it, started working little bitty bars and this and that and the other, and just went from, to 120 people to 240 people to 480 people to what it is now. And I mean, he did a lot of his stuff on social media to get his name out there. And if you go to Nashville and go to every one of them little bars, you're sitting there thinking, listening to somebody sing, you think these people's pretty good, but they don't make it no further because they don't have
the following.
That's on. They can't get their stuff put out there and he did. He worked at it, and he still works hard. He works hard, and it's hard work. It's a lot harder than people really think it is. And I know, he come home. I know he come home back in the fall, and he always gets up early, and he slept about 9:30. And Christy said, "Did you go up there? Did you check? See, he okay?" And I said, "Baby, he's wore out.
And he's home and comfortable.
Home, and he's on the road and sleeping in a bus, and which I guess since they flew out this morning and all that. So when he flies, he's not quite as you think when you fly you'd be still tired and wore out, but not quite as bad as on that bus.
Oh, I'd imagine the bus would be.
Now, is there any musical stuff in y'all's family back there? He's the first.
Really.
You know what I think? I've just hearing your stuff today and just knowing what I know. I think as much of his deal is the storytelling, like you talking about Mr. Joe and his storytelling. And I know you say you don't tell stories like your daddy, but you do.
Well, Christy's granddaddy was a preacher, and he could just play any. Christy's grandmama and granddaddy could play any instrument in their church.
They had to in church, yeah.
They played. She played the piano. Mr. Henry played the guitar, or whatever. And we'd be going down the road, and Gavin be standing up in the front seat. We'd be going check cows, and we'd be singing in the truck and this and that and other. And he always sang in the truck and get home, and did I think it would come to that? If somebody had told me that when he was 5 years old, I was like, nah, I doubt it, but
it's amazing what catches on.
When it escalated, it is escalated.
Yeah.
It was, but I'm proud of him. I'm proud that, proud that his mama gets to go as much as she does. She loves to go, and her and Kaylee was excited, and I'm excited too. I'm excited. We went to Rock Lobsters the other night with him. I'm excited. I was excited he was home.
Yeah.
We went down there, and he bought him some land, and they're cleaning it up, and I'm real happy for him.
That's cool, man. Like I said, I knew we'd be remiss not to ask you about it, and just because I know how proud you are. Because we're all proud of him.
I didn't tell him I was going to do a podcast, and I've never done one. I
text him.
You done let the cat out of the bag.
He sent me a Snapchat about something. Oh, it was about he sent me a text about, we had that video this week, the bucking horse. Have you seen the bucking horse video? oh, it's done gone viral this week.
Oh,
It's got
yeah.
like 2 million.
Oh,
views
yeah, I
on
seen
Facebook
it. You
or
showed it to me Wednesday.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's done. And he texted me about it, or texted me something about it, and said he saw it and he shared it on his TikTok or something, whatever. Now I said, well, maybe we'll get a good deal on the podcast, because I said I got the best guest we can have coming on Friday. He said, who's that? I said, your dad. He said, oh boy. That's all he said was, oh boy. So yeah, we're pretty good about that.
I wanted you to get your bull over there where
Man.
I still
I wanted to get that worked out. We were supposed to go take it. My bull Hank. We were supposed to take him up there, and Gavin was going to ride him into a concert or a hotel or something or whatever. And it snowed or whatever
Yeah, it
that
did.
weekend, and we couldn't get up there. And so there's a snowstorm.
I thought that would have been real interesting.
Oh, it would have been cool. The funniest part to me was when they called me about it, and we was talking about it, and they said, listen now, if it goes sideways and you get arrested for us riding this bull in the hotel, we'll bail you out. I said, well, I've done dumber stuff for less. I guess let's try it. But
Pretty good.
well, Joey, man, I've had a ball. I think we could talk to you for 5 more hours and probably sit here and get it all. But maybe we'll have us around too one day. We'll get you to come back.
I will.
Tell some more stories.
Thank you for asking me to come.
It's fun.
It was great. It really was.
Well, good. We enjoyed it, buddy.
Hey,
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.